Hey guys, and welcome to today's video, and today I'm talking all about being 2 weeks postpartum. So I'm reflecting back on what the last week has been post-birth, which again, I'm still in that stage where I'm in disbelief that she's here and all is just kind of really living in this weird bubble of just weird reality. So with that, I've made loads of notes over the past week on my phone, so if I do look down in this video, it's probably because I'm reading some notes, because the baby brain is really real, and if you hear a little squirmy baby, that's because she's in my arms at the moment. And yeah, so without further ado, let me get on to what it's been like being 2 weeks postpartum. So the first thing I wanted to touch on, and clearly the most important thing that I've documented, was that on week 2 and then 6 days into the second week, I had my first Lush Bath. The reason why I say that is because I had a C-section. They advised that you basically just be careful on what you use, because obviously your scar is super sensitive, isn't it? So I braved it in the last week and I felt so good for it. There's something about having a bath that just really helped my muscles, and it just helped me feel really good, to be honest. Didn't it? Obviously, listen to your body. If you don't think that your body's going to let you have a bath, or if you have, you know, a bath that's going to make it harder to get in and out, then just be careful. But I knew I was okay to have one. And my midwife said, you know, Lush products are 100% natural. There's no nasties in there. So they're fine to use when you have a cesarean scar, which is cool. So I braved that, and that was the first thing I documented because it was so important. And in week 2, I started to drive again. And my midwife basically said that they normally advise not to drive until you're 6 to 8 weeks postpartum, because your ability to emergency brake can be restricted because of your cesarean scar, and if you have pains or it hurts or anything like that, then it can prevent you from being able to brake as quickly as you need to. However, the recovery that I've had has been so quick, and I was able to, you know, bend down. I was basically fully mobile, wasn't I? I was fully mobile, you know, pretty quickly into my recovery. And my midwife said, as long as you feel okay to drive, then I'm happy to sign you off as being able to drive. You just have to check with your insurance whether they cover you, because some insurances won't cover you until you're 6 weeks postpartum. However, I'm with Hastings Direct and they had no problems with me driving, again, so long as I had a doctor's signature to say that I was okay to drive. So I was back driving after 2 weeks, which is an amazing recovery considering I had a cesarean. Being able to drive is such a big thing for me, and so I knew that I wouldn't be able to drive straight away, but kind of 2 weeks in, I feel amazing, and to know that I can drive and that I feel absolutely fine with driving. I absolutely would not do it if I didn't feel 100% okay with it. So obviously it's worth listening to your body again. If you don't feel like you're up to it 100%, do not get behind the wheel. But for me, I felt absolutely fine. And yeah, I've been driving and it's been absolutely great. So I touched in my last update that I am expressing as a form of feeding her, and I'm exclusively expressing, so I'm not actually breastfeeding. She is having my milk, but I am just expressing every 3 hours. And so every kind of 3 to 4 hours at the moment, I am expressing about 4 to 5 ounces a time. That's about the average that I'm getting. But when I pump at around 5 to 6 a.m, depending on when this little one wakes up, I do pump between 8 to 9 ounces, because there's something about the 6 o'clock time frame that your body releases more hormones, and you just kind of have more in your body, I suppose, and you do create more milk. So I get a big chunk there, which is good because then I can stay ahead of my feeds. And then you're getting plenty, aren't you? It's going okay. It's fine at the moment because Rich is off. So when I need to pump, he's able to take her. And then I'm not kind of worried about having to time manage it, because every time it gets a point of needing to express, then I do so. It might be different when he goes back to work. I can imagine it will be, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But at the moment, my priority is making sure that she's getting the best stuff as possible. So, you know, it's going quite well. I think I mentioned before, but having the double electric pump is a lifesaver. So if you are thinking of expressing, you want to get yourself one of those, because it is a honest lifesaver, and I wouldn't be able to pump so much. But I think if you're deciding to exclusively express like I am, you need a double electric one, because it's just amazing. As you can probably tell as well, she is lifting her head up so much, and she's got quite a lot of strength in it as well. She's able to kind of lift it up and hold it, and she's getting so strong so quickly. And you know, she was quite a big baby, but the strength that she has is just mind-blowing. And even the midwife kind of said, wow, that's like amazing for her age. So this week as well, she's been quite teary, kind of before and after feeds, and it's down to the fact that she's had a bit of reflux, and there's nothing you can really do other than try to treat it or prevent it. So we're giving her Infocol before every feed, hoping that it helps. So far I think it is beginning to help, but time will tell if it does actually like properly solve it, or whether we need to kind of do something a little bit more. But you can also tell that she has reflux, because if you feed her, you can't then put her straight down, like laying flat. She wants to be sat up, so that her body isn't kind of just sitting on it, if that makes sense. If you've had a baby with reflux and you know what it's like, they just don't like to lay on their back. They like to be sat up a little bit. So we've also adjusted the Moses basket for at night, because we'll feed her and obviously put her to bed, and the Moses basket is flat, so we've just used some blankets and stuff to just make it a little bit more raised, so her head is beginning to create only minorly, but it's like a slight diagonal instead of fully flat, which we hope is helping a little bit, and she is sleeping a little bit better because of it. She's also developed this week a kind of phase of nappy rash, which I'm sure is super common in little newborns. Their skin is just getting used to having nappies and wipes and all that good stuff kind of applied to their skin, but she has definitely developed a bit of nappy rash. So after every change, we're applying Vaseline, which was recommended to us by Richard's mum. I've got like Sudocrem, and we've got like medicated nappy cream, and we've got like an assortment of different nappy creams, but Richard's mum said that Vaseline helped her boys a lot, because when Rich was smaller, he was actually allergic to zinc, which I think is in Sudocrem, so she said just be careful in case she's also developed that from him. But Vaseline seems to be doing the trick so far. Like, it's definitely gone down a little bit, it's not as red, and some areas are beginning to disappear, so hopefully Vaseline can help sort it out. We are also being careful on what like wipes we use and stuff, and which nappies we're using. The nappies I don't think seem to be the problem, because we changed to a new sort of wipes. We changed from the ones from just Lidl's, and then we went to Huggies, and it seemed to be that when we were using the Huggies wet wipes to clean her, then the rash developed. So we're going to go back to Lidl's ones as well and see whether that helps sort it, because she didn't have it at all at first. So I don't think it's the nappies, I think it is the change in wet wipes, but we'll just keep an eye on it and just try different things, and I'm sure that we'll find the cause of it pretty soon. And you know, it is so common in newborns, but we are just keeping an eye on it. So I pretty much touched on the next point, but I feel absolutely amazing considering I was 2 weeks postpartum. I didn't expect to feel this good. I thought that I was going to feel like absolute shit for weeks. I didn't really know what to expect, because having a C-section just totally threw me off, because I didn't know, like, I don't really know anyone that had a C-section, so I don't have their experiences to compare with, whereas I know a lot of people that have obviously given birth vaginally, and their kind of recovery process would be and is so different to what I'm experiencing. But that said, I have felt absolutely amazing. Like, I can bend down, I can lift my legs up, like I can sit cross-legged on the sofa, I can pick baby up and down, and there's no restrictions at all, which, like I said, is just so good considering I had her now like 3 weeks ago. But you know, 2 weeks after, I definitely didn't think I'd feel that good, which is making me think that next time around, if my body has been this amazing at recovery, I would potentially consider a elected C-section, because my recovery has been just so good. And I know it takes people a lot longer to recover from a vaginal birth, And for me, the only thing that would put me off from having a C-section, obviously it's major surgery, so you need to consider it a lot, but based on my experiences and my recovery, it has been honestly amazing. Like, I couldn't have wished for a better recovery. I feel like I've been living on cloud 9 over the last 2-3 weeks, and I just am still in disbelief that she's here. The feeling of being pregnant is still very, very rich in my mind, so I haven't forgot what that's been like. So I still feel so fortunate that I'm no longer pregnant and that she is here, and you know, that whole situation is over with, because I mentioned before, but the last 2 weeks of pregnancy was definitely the hardest, and has been the hardest even compared to the first 2 weeks of having her, because the anxiety of waiting to give birth was horrendous, and I don't think enough people talk about that. Whereas compared to the first 2 weeks of her being here, like, we've had our highs and we've had our lows, and I'm sleep deprived and all of these things, you know, you're full of worry all the time. You're checking that she's breathing like 10 times in the night. You're getting up in the night, whereas I used to love my sleep. You're worried that you're not doing everything as you should. But even all of those things considered, I still would rather have the first 2 weeks of a newborn than the last 2 weeks of pregnancy, just because until it was over did I realise how much I struggled during those last 2 weeks. She's also got like a lot of expressions, like when you're cuddling her or rocking her or feeding her, post feed as well, she is her funniest. Like, she'll look at you, she raises her eyebrows, she's got like forehead line bits, you know, like when you raise your eyebrows and like you get like the lines in your forehead and stuff. It's like she's doing all of these different expressions, and we love just seeing her change literally daily. Like, she really is changing all the time, but just seeing her develop so quickly is just, it's scary, but it's so amazing, and I can't wait to see what kind of person she's going to grow up to be like. But just seeing these cute little expressions, and even when she's got wind and she smiles and she looks at you a bit confused, it's just the cutest thing, and I absolutely adore it when she makes all of these different facial expressions. When Heidi does sleep at night though, no one told me how weird the noises are when they sleep. Is it just her? But she just makes the weirdest, like when she stirs, she's not quite awake yet, but she's stirring, like waiting to wake up. She makes these like weird, like nasally, grunty noises that I have never heard a baby make before. And me and Rich, like when she started doing it, it was like on the second day, we were like, what the actual hell? And she's just continued doing it ever since. So I don't know whether it is that she's kind of a little bit nasally, or whether that is just the way that she sleeps. I hope not, because it sounds like the most aggressive form of like snoring, kind of grunting. It's just so weird. Like, let me know if your baby also makes those types of noises, because every time she made like a noise, I'd be like getting up in the night and like checking her. Now I'm beginning to differentiate when she's like awaking or when she's just stirring in her sleep. But when she was making these noises, I was literally checking her like every single time, like what the hell? It only happens as well at night. It only happens when she must be in this like deeper sleep, that she's just so like, I don't know, vocal. It's so bizarre. I'm thinking of doing a video of like 24 hours like with my kind of newborn, so let me know if you'd like to see that, because it's kind of different to any other content that I've put on my channel. But if I do, I'll definitely record the noises, because it is so weird, and I want to know if I'm alone in experiencing, like, first of all, the worry of like what the hell is going on. It's just so, it's funny now as well, but it was just so weird when it first started happening. And my last point carries on the theme of sleep. And when we was in the hospital, we were kind of discouraged in swaddling her. They kind of said that it goes in and out of whether they should recommend it or not, and at the moment they're not recommending swaddling babies. But even if we wanted to swaddle her, Heidi likes to sleep with her arms like up like that, against like beside her head. So she does not want to be swaddled whatsoever. We have tried in the night, because she does startle herself awake quite a few times, even if like she's falling asleep in the day and, you know, we're doing our own thing and we're watching her, we'll see that she startles herself awake. But there's nothing we can really do, because if we try to swaddle with her arms down, she'll just start to cry, and as soon as we release her arms, she's happy as Larry, she'll fall back asleep. And even if we put like a blanket, again just trying to encourage her arms being lower or down, she will fight her arms out of the blanket and she'll just be sat there like that beside her head. So this one does not like being swaddled, even if we were recommended to do so. But that's, again, it doesn't really matter to us. We're happy with the way that it is. Obviously, being the winter, we want to make sure that she's not getting cold or like pushing the blanket off of her. So we find that keeping her arms out of the blanket, but then tucking her in kind of from like there down is absolutely fine. And for when she gets a little bit older, I've got a grow bag, and I've also got another sleeping bag which have like the arm bits cut out anyway, and then there's a sleeping bag which I think that she's going to really like, because that's her preferred way of sleeping anyway. But we just don't have one for the size she is at the moment. So we are just using normal blankets, but when she does get a bit older, we've got those ones to utilise. And I'm hoping that she'll really like them, and they'll keep her nice and warm at night too. So that's it for my 2-week postpartum update. Let me know down below if you've got any questions, and let me know how your postpartum recovery is going. Have you had a C-section as well? How's your recovery going? I was so clueless on how recovery for C-sections would be, which was probably the scariest part. When they said that I was having to have one, I was thinking, oh my god, like this is going to be a long process, but I'm already feeling like 100%. It's like so much better. Like, actually, I'd probably say that I'm like 90% there in terms of recovery. And that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.